Welcome to Gear Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm Chris.
This is Annie.
And I'm Brooke.
And this week we're going to be talking about Swimrun training tools. We're talking about stuff for swimming, stuff for land-based stuff, running, everything.
Strength, everything to make you an overall better athlete.
Yes.
Person.
Do you want to improve your swimrun performance?
Yes, you do.
No better time than the present.
Yeah.
Then keep listening. We have a show for you.
That's what we're here
This
for.
is a show. But before we get into all this meaty stuff, does anyone have any gear updates?
I have a gear update.
Hear it.
I dropped a lot of hate on the Hokas early on.
You sure did.
Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
Brooke's eating them words. Yeah, I've come around to them. I will not say that I love them as much as I love my Innovates, which are kind of more a minimalist shoe, but I've been alternating to kind of work out some injury kinks, and I'm really liking them as an alternative. And I feel like they give me kind of a different cadence and like a different type of run that allows me to strengthen parts of my hip that I haven't been using with my other shoes. So I feel like they're really good injury prevention, which Annie talked about with her research rundown on preventing running injuries.
Which ones did you
So
get?
I'm a fan of the Hoka Speed Goats.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Not for long distances. I won't wear them for a swim run yet, but for training,
Baby steps.
for sure.
I was expecting you to say it changed your outlook on life, but it was...
Well, I mean, it kind of did.
Chipper, didn't
It-
you?
it
and Brooke
made me
make a
realize
bet
that I can
if
be
Chipper
wrong
tried
about
Hoka, she had to
things.
get a Hoka tattoo.
That's
I
huge.
kind of remember that.
Well, I'm sure some super fan will go back and trim that bet from the clip. Well, I'm happy to hear about the Speed Goats. I do love very much the Speed Goats. After a rather chilly experience, now I'm not claiming to be swimming with the likes of the Swimrun Labs ladies.
Yeah, no one thinks you are.
I'm simply,
I thought he was.
I like that you made that assumption, though, Chip.
I just want to level set.
I like
with
your
everyone.
confidence.
Being a California kid through and through, when the weather gets into the 40s, it's a little bit nippy for me. And there was at the pool one morning that Chris and I were out there. It was 28 degrees.
It was bad.
It was a little rainy and a little windy. And when I got home, I ordered myself a Red's Original dry robe style swim jacket.
It's nice.
And I'm loving it.
Do you just wear it all? Like, I wear it all the time, like around the house.
I did, and I did a run on the treadmill, and then I went outside when it was cold, and I put the jacket on. It was nice, and it was like, oh, this is great. And my wife's in the garage hanging out, and she grabbed the jacket too. She's like, oh, this is nice. I'm like, see why I needed this for so long.
Yeah, need is a strong word, but it is very nice.
I did opt, Brooke, almost solely based on your recommendation. I opted for kind of the short, quote unquote, short sleeve, which is more like a 3/4 kind of half.
Yeah.
Gets you half in the forearm, pretty much.
Yeah. And it's easy to like pop your arms in to change.
Yeah. I don't know. And the way that the red one does it, they just have like the sizes based on how tall you are, not how big you are. And I mean, it was like 5'11" to 6'5" or something. And I'm 6 foot. So I was like, okay, I'm this one. I'm not the 5'4" to 5'10" version, but it's big.
Yeah.
But I know that's how it's supposed to be, but it's almost like, I feel like a Jedi or something.
Yeah. There's a lot of room for Santa Claus to be in there. You know, it's like, there's a lot of space.
Totally.
I hang mine up on these little hooks at the end of our lanes at the pool. And everybody else swimming with me thinks there's a person like standing over them watching them swim.
Yeah, it's like a
presence.
Yoda without Yoda.
It's a presence, yeah.
So I've been enjoying that. I think I need to give it a proper break-in with a polar bear style skin swim.
Or just a nude dog walk.
I don't know if that's a proper break-in.
I don't know if my jacket would feel that's the type of break-in it's looking for.
That's probably if you want to break in like a criminal record or something.
That's what we're talking
You're
about.
breaking my
with
rap
breaking,
sheet
right?
on Neighborhood Watch.
Yeah.
All right.
Make your debut on Next Door.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love reading the next doors. Moving on.
No more noon dog walking jokes.
Yeah. Enough of that. Let's talk about swim run training tools.
Okay.
So I think we should set the stage of why we're even talking about this. This is a gear show, so we are going to be talking about specific pieces of gear that you can use to enhance your performance and stuff like that. But we thought it'd be good to take kind of a big picture look, and we're going to rely on actually smart people from the Swimrun Labs to kind of like tee it up for us as to why this is something that you should
I love
think
how
about.
you guys always classify us as the smart people on the show.
You
It
are.
really,
You're
like,
the scientist.
Yeah.
is a little misrepresented.
You guys are the quote
We all
labs.
have different intelligences.
Yes. We all bring different strengths.
Well,
You guys are
Speaking of
called
strength,
labs.
yeah. The
So why are we
lab
doing
has
this?
Yeah.
Yeah, good question. It is the off season technically, but technically we do have a season coming up to train for. So we're
Woohoo!
sort of still in this zone where the horizon of the race calendar is far enough off that it's still sort of like build your base,
Mhm.
fill the chinks in your armor, just prepare to come back stronger than you were at the end of last swim run season, or prepare to kind of bulletproof yourself for the upcoming rigors of a training plan that's race oriented.
Or just prepare for your first swim run.
Everything
Yeah.
in between. Yeah. So I think one good area to kind of focus on is if you're brand new to endurance training or training aids. I think there's no one silver bullet thing that you can get that will solve all your problems. But
Yep.
if you,
No shortcuts.
I think a good place to start is potentially training with some level of metrics, either if that's a heart rate monitor or a heart rate number, or kind of a perceived rate of exertion. Now, why don't we go into those two things for 2 minutes?
Rate of perceived exertion is just kind of a subjective measure on how much effort you're putting into an activity. And usually you do it on like a 1 to 10 scale. And you can also kind of measure it based on like if you're running, a 1 to a 3, you can breathe easily, have a conversation. It's very comfortable. And that would be kind of associated to like a warm up or low aerobic heart rate zone. If you are going into like a 4 to a 6, you're getting moderate. You can hold kind of short conversations. And then you're getting more into your aerobic zone. And then I would say anything above a 7, you're getting into kind of your upper 80s, like getting into anaerobic or sub anaerobic threshold. And it's very difficult to hold a conversation or even speak a sentence. So anyways, you can look online. There's a lot of like great charts that kind of tell you what rate of perceived exertion is, but they all correspond to like a training zone.
You guys want to hear a funny story?
That was a great explanation, I think.
I think that was
Brooke.
great.
Oh, thank
When
you.
I was a sort of serious athlete, I was really big into perceived effort, and I knew I was cycling in zone 2 when I could sing Tony Braxton's "Unbreak My Heart." Like that was like my zone 2 song.
That's a hard song,
And
Chris.
that-
You gotta hold some long notes.
Well, that would be my test. If I couldn't sing that song, I knew I was like above where I wanted to be, zone 2 for a race.
I need to look up this song.
Look no farther. Forget about those charts. That's the metric.
That's your
Hey,
metric.
If there's a song
yeah.
you can sing while zone 2, it's good.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I think that's a really good way to kind of break it down too. It's like, oh yeah, your sort of zone effort 1 through 3, you could do that all day. That you can go.
Yeah,
walk
and
do
you
that
could
all
sing
day.
anything
And
by
you could
Tony.
sing an
Yeah.
Tony
early
Braxton.
90s ballad.
Yeah, Pat Benatar, like
Love is a battlefield.
those you can sing in zones 1, 2, and 3.
If you're in that 8, 9, 10, you can't even think, let alone really speak beyond a yes or a no.
You're maybe doing what's the new kind of like rap style where it's just like short bursts of rhymey songs,
Trap music.
of rhymey words. Trap. Yes. You're doing trap maybe in like zone 7 and 8.
And 10, you're collapsing.
10,
after,
Yeah.
I think 10 is just
You're
an
doing that part of
instrumental.
the Salt and Pepper song that goes, Just breathing.
Wow.
That reference is unbeatable.
Wow.
That
That was special. Should we just end the show? I
yeah,
think we
that's
should
like
just-
line of the day right there, Annie. Congratulations on that.
And for anybody under the age of 30, so sorry.
Yeah, anybody under the age
Google-
of 30,
Google
it's
this.
salt and pepper, not
Yeah,
salt and
that's
pepper.
Yeah.
So,
So if you have a sense around what your heart rate kind of zones are in this methodology of kind of zone-based, heart rate-based training and perceived effort, they're all similar in nature. They're not exactly a one-to-one match, but they're generally similar about that. And so that's like a great place to start. And so if you don't have a watch or a heart rate monitor or any of those zones, spend some time figuring that out. And then now we're going to kind of go into like, what are some tools for strength to, if you want to look to build your strength up in the off season or this time of year or any time really. So what's some kind of training tools that each of us are using for strength? Then we'll hit the run. And then probably where we feel the most toys are
toy heavy
is the pool
Yeah, and I would say,
or
you know,
water.
something that's sort of a shadow over this entire thing is like you should have a plan, right? Like if you want to improve something, yeah, you can know what your heart rate is and stuff, but like have a plan, get a coach, look at stuff online. Like if you're trying to improve something where you're deficient in the sport, speaking for myself, I'm working with a swim coach now because I feel like that's where I need the most improvement in Swimrun. And I'm just, doing it with purpose, I guess.
Yeah, it's kind of like that episode that you guys had where someone recommended when you go out for a swim run, don't just go out for a swim run, but have like a training focus. Like
Yeah.
maybe it's your transitions, maybe it's your run, maybe it's your nutrition. I'd say the same for any training session. Like, is your focus building base and volume? Is your focus on body alignment? Is it on shoulder strength?
Yep.
And like really pick a thing to target.
Absolutely.
And if this is your first swim run, it is or if you're new to the sport, it's also totally okay for your focus to be practice swimming a longer distance than I did last time, or practice running.
Yeah.
It's
Absolutely.
it can be as simple as that, as I'm just spending time in this discipline. But when you're ready to add that complexity, there is a pretty significant benefit to having your clear purpose for each session.
Absolutely. Oh yeah, I mean your purpose for that session would be, hey, I want to go from swimming 5 minutes consecutive to 7 or to 10 or whatever. Like that's kind of your focus there. So
that is a goal. Yeah.
Awesome. Great points.
Yeah. So let's start with strength.
Okay. So,
and there might be stuff that carries over, right? So I think one thing for strength, obviously having a strong core and all that stuff is really important just to stay healthy and, stay strong and everything. Working on mobility is important. But in terms of tools, one thing that kind of goes across swimming and strength in general is sort of stretch bands or
TheraBands.
TheraBands or swim
whatever,
cords. Something that you can use to kind of work on your mobility, but also kind of develop some of the technique for swimming. And then, you can use it for stretching your gluteus minimus or whatever, medius. Now I'm trying to sound like this one.
Nice job.
Just wanted to
I
had to get gluteus into the
tell
show.
us more about those muscles, Chris.
Chris tried to step in the lab
I know.
just now.
I just stepped out.
Welcome to the lab.
Welcome to the lab.
And
I'm
goodbye.
Your first test is how many glutes are there?
And I'm just here fogging up the glass.
There's two, right? There's the glute medius and then the maximus
Well, 2 per leg.
And
minimus. Is there a minimus?
you got it. 3 of them.
I don't know. That's all I got.
Welcome to the lab.
But you're
Yeah.
right. Like bands are super versatile. And I think a TheraBand, you can do a million things with it. Annie's got some great videos on Swimrun Labs on different band exercises for lower body and upper and shoulders. I like that dance one, Annie.
We'll be sure to
Oh
link
yeah.
those.
I mean, it can be fun, guys. I think that the main thing to consider with any sort of strength training, core training, non-running based or non-swimming based training is the importance of the benefit of that kind of training is that it's exposing your body to more resistance than you could generate just with
On
your
its
own
own.
body. So considering that external factor of like, if you can manage your body and your body weight and the resistance it creates in the water and the impact forces it creates on land, that is awesome. That's a great baseline. But to really become a robust athlete, resistant to injury, and kind of pushing the performance outcomes a little bit more, exposing yourself to external loads such as the resistance of an elastic band or simply just heavy stuff. Like I think some strength training can sound really complicated, but it could just be as simple as putting, 15 pounds of water bottles in your backpack and doing stairs or something like that. But some kind of weight or resistance more than you can just generate with your own little self.
Yeah, totally. I think that's a really key point is you don't have to go out and when some people say, oh yeah, strength training, you think, oh, I got a big, bench press thing in my garage and a rack with thousands of pounds of weights and plates all over, like you're at Gold's Gym in the late 80s or something.
Like at the CrossFit Games.
Yeah, it's like, no, you can just...
Listening to Tony Braxton.
You could just, you could fill a backpack up with books. You can, do stuff with body weight or... honestly,
carry your significant other up a mountain.
I have done
your child or your dog.
So many workouts with my kids on my back, like doing an air squat with.
That is such functional strength training. That's awesome.
And it's also a strength and
and I think building. This is way back machine, but episode 17 of the show, we had like sort of world famous strength coach.
I know.
I looked it up. Nate Helming on the show, who was my coach for a really long time. And that episode is just jam packed with things that you can do.
Lots of good nuggets in there
to kind of work on sort of the foundations of strength, which is strong core, activating posterior chain.
And I think like Annie, you brought up kind of the framing of like just think of what external load you can put on your body. I think another way of looking at it too, for me in particular, just with like the type of weaknesses or chinks in my armor that I've been trying to deal with, is what external instability can I provide that my body has to stabilize. So a big like tool for me has been like Bosu balls.
Yeah.
And doing like a lot of single leg stuff on Bosu balls for hip stability, for trail running, for that unpredictable, terrain. And then not only for lower extremity, but like for upper extremity, like having unstable surfaces for like push-ups or planks, those muscles that works around the shoulder blade and the shoulder girdle are the exact muscles you need to prevent injury for swimming. So I love doing stuff on wobbly surfaces.
Nice.
Which can be as fancy as a Bosu ball or as simple as like a stack of 3 pillows.
Yeah. Couch cushions work great because they're like pretty thick.
We wouldn't recommend cactuses.
Don't do it.
Yeah. Don't do it.
What?
Okay.
Anything else on strength? In terms of
you
like
use
stuff?
The bands. You have I have the bands and body weight.
Yeah.
Kind of core.
Are you talking about stretch cords, Chipper?
Yes, the stretch cords. Like they actually have paddles built into the end of the
handle.
Yeah,
I just recently got those and they are awesome, and they're on sale right now at Swim Outlet for $38.
Wow,
nice.
We'll link to that.
That will be in the description if someone wants to.
But that specificity of having the paddle attached to this basically long stretchy cord, as the name implies, is the element that makes these superior.
Definitely
the band.
Yeah, and if I'm plugging my coach at Tower 26, that's like a key for every workout is you don't do anything unless you're doing stretch cords first, just to get like your muscle memory going, everything activated, makes you swim better in the water, better for beginning races and stuff like that. So now it's like my routine. I keep them in the car. I like strap them into like the hook on the back and just do them before I go into the pool.
Nice.
And it's a really kind of, it's a little bit more advanced, obviously, but before a race or before a swim, if you don't have time to do a warm-up swim, having those cords that you can do 3 minutes of dry land work and like get a good amount of blood circulating in there could really kind of help. So
and then you can jump in the pool and get right into your workout because you might only have a 45-minute time slot.
Yep. Great point.
And heaven forbid, I mean, this has been such a reality this year. If people still don't have access to pools, the stretch cords actually provide a pretty swim specific workout.
Yeah. And I've seen people kind of lay down in between chairs and have it so where you're actually horizontal and you're doing the movement of what your what your catch would be,
Mhm.
and they have it pretty sophisticated. Basically, it's like a a makeshift Vaza trainer.
Yeah,
essentially.
And on your recovery, you're getting that like eccentric control, like that slow. You're kind of
oh
you're
yeah,
Deceleration,
resisting the
kind of?
resistance.
or
Or
just
Yeah,
like
exactly.
the opposite of the you.
No, like
Oh.
on the recovery phase, it's still pulling you, and
Deceleration,
you're
yeah.
having. Oh, I thought you said acceleration.
Still
Yeah,
have resistance when
deceleration.
you're-
Oh, right. But it's not normal resistance that you
That's
get, right?
not normal
Okay.
resistance for swimming, but that's really good muscle training.
Yeah.
Yeah, because in swimming you don't have any. Because when you go to get your catch,
Mhm.
you're just
Right.
kind of flopping
You're
it
throwing
over.
that big old stiff arm over the top, smacking it in the water. Okay, cool. Let's move on to running.
Yeah, so like what gear or what tools are good
Running's
for running?
tough.
I mean,
think
gotta have shoes.
yeah. I think, it might sound elementary potentially, but if for some reason you've only been running on the road, getting a pair of trail shoes to go run in the trails, I think is a really trails. And when I say trails, I kind of mean trails and hills and varied terrain that isn't a flat sidewalk or a pavement. And that similar to kind of what Brooke is saying earlier about training with that Boso ball is that provides and makes those little supporting muscles stabilize, and you're going to build a lot of strength just kind of running hills. So,
I mean, yeah, just varying your terrain, just like you want to
Yep.
vary your shoes so you don't get some sort of overuse.
and your training,
injury.
we don't, every day is not as hard as you can go, and every day is not a
Sure,
recovery day.
sure. Yeah, I mean
So-
that's all part of like sort of having a
The
plan
general.
and stuff,
Yep.
right? But yeah, I totally agree with that. I think if this isn't your first swim run and you're actually paying attention to whatever your A race might be, like let's say it's something like Catalina, which is definitely on our list later this year,
Or
hopefully,
Orcas.
or Orcas.
Of course.
Understanding that there's going to be a lot of climbing. Now is a good time to develop sort of that, start flexing that muscle a little bit, develop your climbing legs, your maybe power hiking if you haven't done that, like all those
And your
things.
downhill
Oh
control
yeah,
legs.
definitely.
So
Yeah, I think just the same thing that Annie said, like loading up your running backpack with a little bit heavier weight, even just 15 pounds more. I was at my PT appointment and I got in one of those like gravity eliminated treadmills, and they took 15 pounds of my weight off, and I started running and I was like, oh my God, like, is this what it would feel like if I was 15 pounds lighter? It
that's
was
crazy.
crazy the difference that small amount of weight is. And so if you add 15 pounds and just go for, a 6 mile or whatever, a long run, imagine
Or a hike.
what
even.
it would feel like
Right.
when you take that off,
I mean, I feel like I'm plugging a lot of our former shows, but episode 30 with, also world famous coach Mauro Ferroli, one of his things.
What minute was this mentioned at, Chris?
I'm not sure, but one of the things he mentioned is like, yeah, speed work is always really good, but one way to do speed work where there's less risk of injury is hills. Like hill work
Totally.
essentially
Mhm.
replaces being able to go to a track and just trying to pull a hammy or something because you're forced to go slower because it's steep, but you
Mhm.
still have to pump your arms and pump your legs and stuff.
And I think a lot of people kind of get personally, I know I get intimidated sometimes about hills. Is like, I can't run this whole thing in one shot, and that's okay. I think a good way is like, hey, let's just hike it, or let's run for 30 seconds, hike for a minute, run for 30, or you can break up these different intervals, but don't be intimidated to mix it up just because you can't necessarily complete it at what you think your effort should be or whatever.
Yeah.
That's sort of how the strength and the progression is going to happen is like, hey, on day one, yeah, you probably couldn't run the whole hill, but at the end of whatever
Sure.
time.
Yeah, and power hiking, you can go.
Yeah.
You can go pretty fast if you're a good power hiker. I mean, as long as you're hiking with purpose and not just, kind of like what we were doing at Catalina on that big climb. We're just like, oh man, this is a super long
Look at
climb.
this view.
Instead of just like, head down or whatever. Anyway,
And that's where like rate of perceived exertion comes in handy because it's
Mhm.
not about speed. It's about how hard you're working.
Right.
And so you can work at a max effort, at a 10 out of 10 going up a hill slowly, depending on the steepness of the hill, just like you could if you were sprinting all out.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
Great
hills is a running tool.
for sure.
And also external load. And if you combine the two, that is like a very powerful training tool.
yeah, and I would.
Yeah.
Like for example, a common, I don't know, not common, maybe like weekly or biweekly winter workout at our house is we fill a backpack with water bottles that are full of water. So you're adding, between 15 and however many pounds you possibly could want to add to your backpack. And then power hike, we have this great climb, this like 2,000-foot climb. So power hike to the top of the trail, and then you pour all the water out, drink some of it, and then run down. And you're working on like your dynamic stability, your trail navigation, and you're not hammering your knees by running downhill with 30 pounds in your backpack.
Smart.
It's a great staple for, maybe when weather prohibits road running, or if you are doing family time, you can hit the trails with your family and still load up your pack and just kind of
one thing I'll throw out there for our like 6 listeners in Florida where it's like super flat, find a bridge. You can always use, if there's a bridge nearby. Bridges are usually hills of some kind, So you can find a way. You can find a way to do the work if you really need to.
And I think mixing in the family time, I will always take the opportunity on a hike to volunteer to carry whatever kid wants to be carried, because we have one of those, kind of like kid backpacks that they ride in, and that's a great external load. Plus, you're like the snack van.
And they're like yelling in your ear, so then you have that external motivation to move
faster, yeah.
Or my son, if I stop, he starts yelling. He'll just keep going constantly.
Going. He's like, "You're weak, Dad. Yeah. You're weak."
He like starts pulling my hair. I was like, "Damn, this is like Ratatouille or something."
So I think now let's get into swim, where most of the toys, everyone's got their swim bag full of everything. So let's dive into the swim section here.
So I had a little bit of structure for this because there's so many more toys for swimming. So
subcategories.
Subcategories. So it's like, all right, these are kind of like your essentials to work on skills and stuff. Then there's like the nice to haves, and then there's sort of baller status. So we'll just kind of cover each kind of in turn. So I think for essentials, you're talking, you want to have a pull buoy, you want to have paddles, you want to have an ankle strap, you want to have a snorkel. And like we've been mentioning, a plan, some sort of swim plan, whether it's like, I'm going to try to, just have some structure to it. Don't just be like, I'm just going to free swim for 30 minutes and, get out.
Totally. So pull buoy and paddles, I think everyone probably has decent familiarity with on a Swimrun show, but why would you want to use a snorkel or what's the ankle band? I think is 2 areas that might be good to kind of talk about, but We've mentioned the snorkel before, and I think certain people are more familiar with it than others because it is kind of an unusual thing. You think, oh, well, that doesn't make any sense because
it's not super common. Yeah. You don't see that many at the pool.
Certain people are familiar with it. That's you, Chip.
I'm the only. Well, I guess Chris and I know.
I saw a guy swim this morning with a snorkel.
Yeah,
but I have another. Well, let's hear about how you use the snorkel, Chip, and then I think there's also another way to get around that.
Chris, do you also use a snorkel in your training?
I started to. I've had one for a while, but I never liked it, and I still don't like it. But part of the sort of Tower 26 coaching philosophy is being able to keep your head straight is really good for working on alignment and tautness for your drills. So it's used heavily in drills usually with a pull buoy and ankle strap. Or fins if you're just working on sort of alignment. So
yes, so basically it takes one part of the complexity of what swimming is, breathing, arm, catch, entering the water, kicking, alignment, all this stuff, flotation, and it takes one part of that, which is breathing, which is fairly important for your continuing on as a human.
Someone just stepped into the labs.
Watch out, people. Oxygen, key for life. And more nuggets like this soon, so pay attention, everybody.
I'm listening.
Got notepad out and everything. I forgot where I was going with this whole thing.
No, the reason why
I was like, oh, hey, look,
you're on, Chip.
Yeah. You were talking about
it helps you focus on alignment. I notice I will use the snorkel for maybe I would say max 400 to 600 every swim set, usually in the beginning after kind of a warm up. And I feel it really helps me not worry about my breathing, obviously, and really focus on things I'm working on now currently, which is like making sure I have good entry into the water and that my pull is really good. That's just me personally. I'm working on those things. So having the snorkel just makes it that much easier for me to do that. And that's why I use it. With the
So
pull
you
buoy
use
usually.
it, so you don't use it to necessarily, well, to get your body in alignment, but more to like just take that out of the equation so you can focus on other things.
Yeah.
I mean,
Okay.
And it does help alignment because your head's not moving, right? Your head can be totally stationary. So I guess in turn it is affecting your alignment.
I mean, like as a drill, it kind of helps you understand what proper alignment looks like, because you don't have to worry about like getting out of alignment for breathing, which is something you also need to work on. But at least if you're working on your,
your initial body alignment,
stuff, it can be helpful. I mean, it's been super helpful for me. Like I've been doing it consistently since beginning of January, and I'm already seeing results, I think. So
yeah, and I would say I think that's like a great idea. And then I would say just to kind of take it full circle, because you do see those people who have great body position when their head's in the water, and then they go to take a breath and it's like it all falls up, like their head comes way out of the water. So you can take, once you get like kind of comfortable with your body alignment, maybe with the snorkel, I've had coaches like tell me to take a paddle and put it on my head, on the very top of my head, and swim with the paddle. So it's the water's pushing the paddle against my head. So if you get out of alignment, the paddle's going to fly off, left, right. And it gives you like a little bit of you can tell like when your head's coming up, because the paddle will start going down. You can tell when your head's going down because the paddle will start going.
That is like
up.
charm school.
I'm going to try it.
And, but what's the cool thing is you incorporate your breathing. And so you breathe with that paddle on your head, and it really keeps you see how much you can actually stay in alignment with breathing. And it's hard, but when you get it, your breathing becomes like a non-issue, like your body doesn't go out of alignment with breathing.
Great. I like that.
Really awesome.
That's a good tip right there. So you're putting it kind of like on your forehead.
Like a hat.
Yeah.
Like you're wearing it like a hat, and then you go into the water.
So you're saying.
And you just keep pushing it forward, and it's the resistance of your swimming.
Yeah, it's like a dolphin pushing a ball at Sea World.
Wow.
Or a tugboat pushing a barge.
There you go.
Oh, there you go.
Another analogy.
Or Sisyphus pushing a rock up a hill.
I just like that because it actually gives you like a lot of micro biofeedback about your head moving, especially when you start to incorporate breathing. You're like, I can feel where I lift my head up,
Yeah.
Wow.
I like that one.
That's a good job.
So snorkel.
Can we
go
go
ahead,
back
Amy.
to snorkel for a second?
We're still here.
Myself and those who might have never seen or used a swim snorkel, what brands do you recommend? What product works well?
So I've actually used two different ones. I recently got I recently replaced mine. You might have heard me mention it. This Michael Phelps. Snorkel is by Aqua Sphere, I believe. It's on Amazon. It's my new favorite. I previously was using the Finis one,
which is what I have.
And these are front mount snorkels, so they actually go over your nose, like they come up, split your head in half, kind of. So you're breathing
like a
out
unicorn snorkel, or a narwhal,
like a narwhal. And so it's not kind of the side like a scuba diving type snorkel type of thing. It's up in the front. The Finis,
it's not James Bond and Thunderball style. It's
a good good
way
Bond
back,
reference.
Way back, yeah.
Sean Connery, one of his later ones.
Rest in peace.
That's true. And so, the Finis one that I had, where the head mount attaches to your head and how it's holding the actual snorkel, there's too much give in there, and it flops and it wiggles, and for me, it just gets too annoying, and I can't take it.
Yeah, I'm finding it very annoying. I have basically the same Chipper's old one essentially, and it's not good.
So the Michael Phelps one doesn't have that problem.
Yeah.
Plus it's
cool,
hot pink and neon green. Spicy.
Matches your sea snugs.
That's true. It does.
That are in a drawer somewhere.
Oh, they're over here.
Oh yeah, so I think ankle straps is an interesting one. It's kind of slightly diabolical if you're not used to them, but John Stevens, who was on the show as well, I can't remember
what episode, Chris. What episode?
I can't remember. It was Gear Talk where he brought it up. I think it might have been Gear Talk where wearing an ankle strap kind of replaces the need of swimming in shoes because it sort of simulates the same type of drag that you would get. So that's something, if you don't want to be swimming in your shoes, like being that guy at the pool, at least you can look like you're, into S&M or something.
I kind of love being that guy at the pool.
Yeah. I would recommend pairing the ankle strap with a buoy, or else
Yes.
you will be sinking. Your feet you'll need to retile
Anchor.
the pool after.
And you might want to get your body alignment in check before you do that. Like that'll help
Totally.
you
Yeah,
not
so you
sink
don't
with your
drown,
ankle
yeah.
strap.
And honestly, to start with ankle strap, you could do like 25s. It's probably do a 25 at 70 or 80% of perceived effort, and rest, then come back, and like doing that a couple times, you'll get your core, and it will help you kind of focus on your alignment a lot. They're basically giant rubber bands, or you can use your old bicycle tube.
Well, I was going to say,
And
can
just
you,
cut it up
because
and
I
make a
don't use
little-
ankle strap, but could I just like tie a TheraBand from
Yeah,
my
totally,
dryland
sure.
workout around my ankles?
Yeah. Or do something to kind of make it so your feet can't kick.
Yeah, I
Essentially
mean,
is what you're doing.
you shouldn't be like Joan of Arc tied to a stake or anything down there. But I mean, there should be a little bit of room. But the idea is like that your feet, like you can't actually kick. Like your feet are really close together.
Annie, didn't you like concoct some sort of like parachute thing coming
They do
behind
have
you?
the parachutes too.
Drag suit.
You carried a muffin in
I
it?
carried a snack bag with a muffin and an avocado in it.
What kind of muffin?
At the pool?
Just a
Banana chocolate chip?
like morning glory, get you moving muffin.
A lot of bran, probably.
Yep.
Yeah, nice heavy bran.
Yeah, I mean external load, right? Muffin and avocado.
I mean, that sounds
In a plastic
delightful.
bag
Yeah,
tied to
I
your
don't
ankle?
exactly remember why I did that.
Different.
Moving on.
Brooke, now everybody knows.
This show's getting weird.
Yeah, we're diving into all sorts of things. No more ankle
Oh my
strap
gosh.
talk, everybody. This is just getting too curious. So there is the parachute. I have seen people. I haven't ever swam. I don't need to go any slower in the pool, so attaching a parachute to myself is not something I'm.
Yeah, for like
That sounds
tons of
insane to me,
resistance,
but that is a great example of external load for someone
Totally.
who wants
And
to
simulating-
bulletproof their swimming.
And simulating what it might feel like to have a partner tied to you while you're swimming.
That's
Yeah.
a really
So
good
one
point.
time I took my dog and put him in a river raft, like a $9.99 Costco river raft.
Oh, yep.
And tied, this was like just getting into Swimrun, and tied him to my waist and went on an open water swim
Oh,
with him and drug him around the Lake
I
Washington.
think Trista from Team
Oh, she did.
Adorables
Yeah,
did
she
that
did
with her
that
kid.
too.
Yeah, she put her kid
Yeah.
so another way to incorporate
there's
family time there.
Another way to bring your family. Yeah.
in. Yeah.
Load them up
My
on
family's
the
my
ruck raft. Swimming with the parachute is a good way to add extra load. I have also seen the swim team at our thing attach bungee cords to the blocks
Mhm.
and somehow attach it around their waist, and then
Oh
just
my
swim
gosh, I
like
think
all
I've had a
out for like
nightmare
30
about
seconds.
that.
Yeah.
Wait, to the blocks. Oh, to the starting block?
Yeah.
Yes, to the thing that comes out that you like.
Oh, kind of like what
starting
people
block,
are
yeah.
doing for like what people set up in their barns and in their backyards,
Yes.
like for swim pools. Like,
Exactly.
Exactly. Yes.
nice.
Okay. So those are kind of some of the essential gear.
Yeah, fins. If you want to, again, this helps work on drills and
yeah.
stuff like that. Paddles.
Also, a good thing with another coach trick that I learned, if you are doing swim run and for whatever reason you don't use a pull buoy, which some people don't, using a paddle in one hand and a fin on the same side foot as the paddle hand, and learning how to do the 2-beat kick for endurance swimming. You guys know what I mean? About the
Yeah,
2-beat
it's like
kick?
it's specifically a 2B
it's a
kick
2B
rather than
kick.
like a flutter
like
kick.
it's just like a power kick to like save your legs for like long
yeah, it's like
swims.
every.
It just
it's like
lets you
every
maintain your
other-
balance
every
and
other
your
pull,
body
you do
position.
like
Oh,
a
yeah.
big kick.
Whoa.
it gives you some power, but that like setup with the paddle and the
Like-
fin on one side help you coordinate, because sometimes it's hard for people to like feel what that coordination is, and that gives you more biofeedback to help you coordinate, like, oh,
So
this side is
like-
the resisted side and they go together, and then this side is the unresisted side and they go together.
So it's if you had your fin on your right leg, you're gonna have a paddle on your left hand.
No, fin on your right leg, paddle on your right hand, because you pull with your right hand and kick with your right foot at the same time.
Oh, okay. Got it.
It took me forever
I'm gonna need the
it took
snorkel
me
for this one
forever
because
to
I
like
can't think
get
about
the
all this
two
at the same time.
Yeah, it took me forever to get it because I was like, I don't know which leg I'm supposed to kick with which hand. But then when I did that, I could feel it happen because I had resistance on one side and no resistance on the other, and they just went together.
And that's a really good point about this whole thing about what these tools are good for, is that they help you feel it a certain way or sort of think about it in a little bit of a different way because you're focusing on it. And that helps things potentially click for you about like, hey, I never thought about when your hand enters the water, it needs to go this way. But if I'm able, I'm making this up. Sorry.
No, you're right.
If your hand goes in, then, you know, once you feel it, I mean, for me, it's like, oh, once it clicks, you're like, yeah, this does feel right, or this feels faster, or this is more efficient. Then you have that correct memory that you can start reinforcing.
Yeah, I mean, in a lot of it,
they give you like that intrinsic feedback where, you know, a coach can tell you, oh, your hand needs to enter the water like this. And you can try to do it like cognitively, or you can do it like intrinsically and feel what your hand needs to be doing. And that's way more powerful than.
Yeah. And I think especially in swimming, like you might think that you're like a great swimmer or like a great dancer or something, but then someone's looking at you and like, dude, you're like all kinds of messed up. It's like, I thought I looked great. I thought I looked great on the dance floor.
So
like, nope.
A great training tool would be using your iPhone and have someone videotape you and have someone do some analysis on it, if possible. I think that could be.
Yeah.
There's definitely people out there to do that. So that's it for pretty much the essential stuff. I think there's things that are nice to have that would be bonus. I think if you have, we mentioned, stretch bands or swim cords that you can use before swimming, sim shorts, which are sort of neoprene shorts that kind of replicate having a pool buoy or like wearing
jammers,
a wetsuit.
but neoprene jammers.
A kickboard if you're going to do stuff like that. And then also multiple size paddles, which is something that John Stevens also mentioned on our paddle episode, where, it works different strength, different resistance could help you get stronger and more comfortable using paddles. You guys have anything else to add to that?
Just for the non-swim fin savvy, are we talking like snorkel fins, or are we talking about some special pool fins?
There's special pool swims. There's special pool fins. They're like
not big scuba diving ones.
Yeah, and not little tiny baby ones either.
So I think
the Zoomers or whatever.
Yeah, Finis makes those as well. And I think there's a couple sizes. Basically, you don't want 12 inches of fin on the end of your foot, because that's you want something a little bit shorter.
You're not simulating the way your kick is gonna. The cadence of your kick in the swim.
Totally. And the shorter ones kind of will help you a little bit more with strength and I think ankle mobility, which is always a problem for,
people that run a lot. Yeah.
I have one tool that I trialed this morning that combines swimming, running, and strength training.
Whoa, should we try to guess?
Yeah, do it.
Swimming, running, and strength training. A
jump rope.
Oh.
How is that for swim? Oh,
I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah.
Shoulder mobility.
Wrist mobility.
Seahorse?
Yes.
No way.
Wow, you guessed it.
So my husband and I are obsessed with surf documentaries, and almost every surf documentary has a scene where they are in Hawaii or Bali or some beautiful clear ocean, running on the ocean floor, carrying a giant boulder.
Holy.
And so this morning I brought a giant kettlebell to our pool and ran around on the pool floor with a kettlebell.
Underwater or head out?
Underwater.
Holy smokes.
So it combined like breath control. It was a great glute hamstring workout because the pool has like hills, from shallow to deep end. And so strength and running.
That is awesome. What happens when you have to breathe?
So much fun.
Yeah, what do you
you just drop you put it on the bottom and you fly up and you take a breath and then you dive back down. And I was running laps back and forth
That's some
while everybody
Aquaman
else
shit.
was swimming laps above me.
Whoa.
Whoa.
That's
And they were like, "What the hell are you doing?"
How do you get it
And
out
I
of
just
the pool?
told them that I'm training for the big one.
Yeah.
Awesome.
You run it up to the shallow end, and then you just put it on the edge. That's how you get it in and out of the pool. Because you can't.
my
I tried like shooting up from the deep end with it in my hands.
Oh
it was
my
about
heavens.
35
That's like a good way to
pounds.
get a concussion.
I tried like shooting up with it to the surface, and I couldn't make it. I didn't have enough strength.
Or a hernia.
But that's like my
Probably
goal,
get a
is to be
hernia
able to
from it.
shoot to the surface with it.
Just be a powerful rocket ship coming out, like a missile.
Yeah,
For
but
when
you
you
guys-
discover the buried treasure at the bottom of the ocean.
You guys should try it. It's so much fun. My husband and I are going to do it tomorrow. We can't wait.
I'll do it tomorrow.
I can't wait to
Wow.
hear.
It's a ton of fun.
I can't wait to hear more.
Yeah, can you take a video or something?
Yeah, sure.
Sweet.
So I guess then I think there's some baller things you could have in terms of pool
Completely
toys.
unnecessary, but very cool.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that I want to get it, but even I can't justify it. Garmin makes a special swim watch. It's called the Swim 2 watch that actually has wrist-based heart rate. So some of the watches
Underwater.
Yeah, underwater. I mean, Garmin also makes like a chest strap that's specifically for water that you can pair with some of the other watches that they have. But this one specifically is like a heart rate monitor for swimming, and it has.
Does it do running too?
It does do run. It does multi-sport, but it has like way more metrics specifically for swimming that I don't even know what they are. Like SWAT. I mean, anyway, stuff that like doesn't affect me. But yeah, that's one thing.
So
and
a
then,
really specific heart rate monitor.
Yeah,
It's like, hey,
if
you got
just wanna
that data
ball
on
out,
the road. Why
I think
not?
they're like $300, $400, something like that. And then the other thing, which we mentioned at the beginning of the show, is one of these fancy dry robe things. Those things are just money.
I can't confirm.
They really
that is
are.
True.
I mean, I'm the only one who doesn't have one.
He's looking at it now longingly.
They're actually great for swimrun. This just occurred to me. They are so spacious that most of them
Probably
can
fit a whole
fit
team in there.
most people plus one other person inside.
Yeah, well, when we were in
We're gonna
Catalina,
take our team
I mean,
photo
I
one
first really paid attention to them when we were on the boat to Catalina for the race, the two harbors. There's
Yeah,
a bunch
because
of people
Jonas
wearing 'em.
Alting was standing around like a sultan in his
Yeah, like it was totally
holding
normal to
court
be just walking around in this
in a
thing.
dry robe.
And I was.
Yeah. And then you can, after your race, you can literally take your wetsuit and you don't have to go into the bathrooms. You can take your wetsuit and all your
Yeah.
gear off underneath and then be warm and cozy and go get your hamburger.
So I have the red original. Is that what you have too, Brooke?
Yeah. We looked at a lot of different brands and went with Red Original.
And
Yeah,
Annie?
there's Red Original.
I have the dry
Dry
robe
robe.
branded dry robe,
Okay.
which is a UK based company, and they do have US distribution, which will usually sell out.
They have free shipping too, and they're sold out.
No, they
yeah,
don't.
they sell out real fast.
They'll ship within the US until they run out, and then it's a bit pricey to ship it from the UK. But
Oh yeah, for sure.
it is an awesome product.
Red
And I think it's
Original
kind of
is UK too.
where this all started. The first
These are
ever.
all UK because there's another brand.
Smock or something.
Smock Smock.
Yeah.
And
they're
actually,
also UK.
Smock Smock is they
Organic
have
and-
great ethics as a company. Their
Yeah.
materials are more sustainable, and their product is like my dry robe. I have to carry like an extra duffel bag in order to accommodate my dry robe. It's so bulky and heavy, which is awesome for when I'm wearing it, and it keeps me warm.
Mhm.
But it's not very portable. The Smock Smock you can kind of roll up and stuff in a backpack a lot more easily, and it's made
And
out
that
of
was
bamboo.
actually our deciding factor to get Red Original, because you can roll up Red Original into a dry bag, but you couldn't like some woman reviewed
saw that same
a
video,
British
Brooke.
woman. Did you?
Yeah.
Reviewed every single one of them, and then it was great. It was a great like pros and cons of everything out there.
We'll post that one on the
Yeah,
show notes.
Maybe
Yeah, that's a helpful
maybe
video.
I should get a Smock Smock one just to kind of like be different.
You
and
should.
then
Let's
Yeah.
talk
let's
about
do
Round it
a
out.
And they also
compare.
have they have full zip, but the Smock is like a 3/4 zip with like a
3/4.
kangaroo pouch
Okay.
in the front. They also have a
Mhm.
full zip one, but they kind of had this other design that was a little bit different.
Yeah, if you're extra pervy, get the full zip. If you're, more modest. But no.
I thought we weren't doing the naked dog walk.
I brought it
Yeah.
back. I'm
Stop
sorry.
that.
I
I think
forgot.
when he said pervy, he was referring to you.
Okay.
So yeah, I really can't think of anything else from like the super fancy thing. I guess you could have your own infinity pool at your house, but
Yeah,
you know.
sure.
Or like a Vasa swim trainer.
Yeah,
No,
those
yeah,
are
that
I
would be
think
baller.
save your greenbacks and get stretch cords.
Yeah, get stretch
I would
cords
agree
and
with
then
that.
go steal like a piano seat from somebody, and then you can just use that as your
Yeah, a
like,
bench or
your
something.
bench, yeah.
Go rip your bench out of your high school dugout. I think
Very
Now you're
specific
encouraging
example.
vandalism.
Yeah, I guess we should
Naked
be
in your
doing
dry
that.
robe.
Yeah.
Yeah, while you're
Yeah.
naked in your dry robe.
While you're being a
do
nudist
some
under your dry robe, go vandalize
Yeah.
your local baseball.
And you could
diamonds.
actually probably fit the bench under your dry robe. as
No,
you run
don't do
away.
any of that. Instead, go to
That's-
swimrunlabs.com
Uh-huh.
and read, as promised, our research rundown for cold water swimming, which is dropping on the same day as this
Ooh,
podcast.
Sweet.
Nice. And if you have any training tools that we missed or things that work for you, you can always send those
Yeah, let
over
us
to
know.
us and put it in the DM.
Yeah,
or
let us know
email
what you're
or
doing.
whatever.
Are
We'd
you
love to hear that
throwing
stuff.
kettlebells into the pool and running around with them on the bottom? We'd love to hear it.
Do you have a smock? We'd love to hear it.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Do you?
Is that the show?
That's
Did we
the
just
show.
do
I
you
was,
just finish
end.
the show?
I was gonna say, do you walk your dog nude under your dry robe?
No, we
Yeah.
are
We would
segueing
also
away from that.
love to hear it.
No.
Is this a normal thing?
Chip would love to hear it.
I think the FBI is listening to this
Yeah.
podcast now.
That's. Oh, he just texted me. Said, "Funny show, guys." Okay, we're done. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Gear Talk with the Swimrun Labs. You can learn more about all things Swimrun at swimrunlabs.com.
If you have any questions or requests for us to review on the show, send us an email at lowtideboys@gmail.com.
Make sure you subscribe wherever you're listening to this and your other podcast, and leave a review if you're so inclined.
We'd like to thank Writing Easy Records for our show music, and of course, Annie and Brooke for sharing their wealth of knowledge with us.
We'd like to give a huge shout out to our wives for letting us do this sort of stuff. And until next time, be sure to go out there and go for a swim,
And then a run,
and then another swim.
and then a run,
Might as well throw another swim on there,
and a run.
and then just keep going.
Okay. Don't stop. Won't stop.
Can't stop.